Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you're having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
Whether you believe them or not, giants are one thing that every civilization in history agrees on. And a former US soldier allegedly blew the whistle about a classified encounter with one during his tour in Afghanistan. Many others involved have since anonymously come forward and confirmed this same report. Back in 2002, the elite US Army Special Forces, aka the Green Berets, are called in for a high priority mission. There's a well-documented case of an entire US military unit going missing in the Kandahar mountain region in Afghanistan, and these Green Berets were called in to rescue them. The most bizarre thing about this missing unit was that there was no radioed combat initiation, or TIC, troops in contact as it's called. They just full-on disappeared with no trace, which is definitely not normal nor a good sign. The Special Forces team flew within the last known location of the missing unit and systematically searched the area for days. They were starting to give up hope when one day they spotted a distant trail that went up into a mountain, and they decided to check it out. A mysterious mountain trail in the middle of a remote desert in a war-torn country. What could possibly go wrong? As they got closer, they found bits and pieces of infantry equipment, torn uniforms, and eventually shattered bones. They kept going up the trail with their weapons drawn until they reached a plateau at the top. Scanning their surroundings, they see multiple cave entrances all around them. As they slowly edged closer with their aim-down sight fully held, they noticed something on the ground that told them they were not welcome here. Human body parts scattered all over the place. They very clearly found what caused their infantry unit to go missing. A troop noticed a bit of movement inside one of the caves, but before he could react, a huge spear came hurtling out and went right into one of the soldiers named Dan. Before any of the Green Berets could even register what just happened, an enormous red-headed, red-bearded man about 13 feet tall comes running out screaming. The giant pulls the spear out of the soldier's body as the Special Forces team's training kicks in, spraying the creature down with a non-stop barrage of gunfire. After about 30 seconds straight of spamming the trigger, the giant collapses and the entire squadron is speechless. They can't even process what just happened. They call in 2 helicopters sent to retrieve the downed soldier as well as the giant's body. While loading it onto the chopper, the team notices that along with its distinct red hair, it also had 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot, and weighed about 1,500 pounds. A genuine giant, double the height of Shaq in the mountains of Afghanistan, just like we've heard time and time again in the ancient myths of our ancestors. This account was then reconfirmed by the C-130 pilot who picked up the remains from the Afghan airfield to an undisclosed research lab, who distinctly remembers the 6 fingers, the red hair, and the gargantuan body. Even the original after-action report, which infantry units need to submit after an encounter, had all of this info before getting redacted, classified, and NDA'd by everyone who was involved. But eventually, one of the soldiers part of the operation, who goes by Mr. K, anonymously came forward about the event in 2016 to bring the truth to the world, with rumors claiming it's currently being held and studied at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, where the most top secret discoveries like the Roswell UFO crash are sent to. Obviously, you know this is far from the first time tales of giants have been told in our timeline. It is one of the, if not the most common mythical creature in history. The common rebuttal to which is, oh, it's just a natural human inclination to imagine beings that look like us but are also bigger than us, which honestly sounds a bit like a case of backwards rationalization to me. Hey, it could be the case, but the list of historic accounts is virtually endless. We have the Nephilim in the Bible, the people of Od in the Quran. The ancient Egyptians depicted them in countless carvings and drawings. The Greeks had the Gigantes, Hyperboreans, and just way too many more to even list. Native American cultures all speak of a time when giant humans roamed the earth. The Sumerians had the Anunnaki, who bred with humans and birthed giants. Ancient Hindu mythology had the towering Vedas and deity as beings. The Aztecs had the 6 giant sons of Mixcoatl, who populated the earth after the flood. You get the idea. Every culture in history had them to some degree, bar none. Even the Paiute tribe of old America had the oral tradition of the Site Ka, a legendary tribe of red-haired, cannibalistic giants with 6 fingers. Sound familiar? Whose remains are rumored to have been found by miners in Lovelock Cave, Nevada, perhaps the distant cousins of our Kandahar giant. Now, this story leaked by the US Special Forces soldier, he insists is totally real, just super classified. Whether it actually happened or not, we can't know for sure, so your free-thinking mind can make the call of what you choose to believe. Could the giants of our past still be living in small pockets among us, knowing they'll be hunted down for the safety of our species if they ever made themselves known?
It's crazy just to think of rabbit holes filled with giants, because that's what this is right here. So many cultures have stories of giants, from the Nephilim to the Anunnaki. Now with discoveries of Hollow Earth, I would not be surprised. Shout outs to Phyllis Pixel. Yeah, he was cooking on this one. This one was loaded with information.
Okay, so what if the white rabbit is just a code in our reality, forcing us to look beyond the veil? So we all know this concept of following the white rabbit down the rabbit hole originates with Alice in Wonderland, a novel written by a 30-year-old man to impress a 10-year-old girl that he was in love with. The earliest version was called Alice's Adventures Underground. And as we know, underground symbolizes hidden truth and what's beyond the surface. And it also represents navigating through darkness. And this symbolism goes all the way back to ancient Egypt, where a rabbit goddess was seen as a guardian to the underworld, which we can see depicted here, and it still holds that symbolism in modern day, like in Mr. Robot, Us by Jordan Peele, the TV show Utopia, even in Donnie Darko, where Frank guides Donnie on a journey into the unknown. So the white rabbit is not just a character, it's an invitation. It's a call to adventure. It's a hint that there's more to reality than what we see. Another reason that it's also associated with LSD, because it can allow us to see the unseen world. And the reason that rabbit holes are a perfect symbol for conspiracies, awakening, hidden truths, darkness underneath the surface, that rabbit holes are extremely complex. They have many entryways and exits. Much like awakening, there's many different paths, which often lead people to the same conclusions. Okay, so what if our reality, our matrix, follows the same archetypal path of the hero's journey, but when the white rabbit appears on your path and invites you down the rabbit hole, it's like a choose-your-own-adventure book leading you to self-discovery, hidden truths, and journeying through darkness into the light. It's up to you to decide, how do you want to play the game of life? Okay, so I had to keep it light for this part of the series. We are going to talk about but part 1 got deleted from TikTok and I currently have a strike on my account. So if you want to see part 1, go over to IG. Coming up, we're going to talk about tricks, the matrix, and the trickster archetype, which comes before the savior archetype.
The trickster comes before the hero. That's very interesting. Shout outs to JK Ultra, red pill or blue pill. It seems like this rabbit hole is about to get very deep.
If y'all think things are weird now, you have no idea what's about to happen.
We're going to get to the bottom of a lot of things. We're going to call some people in and they're going to point some fingers and they're going to name some names.
So I actually warned you guys a few days ago the minute the news broke. Congress themselves will be exposing the alien truth. In their own way, of course. Remember this guy? He'll be there. This, my friends, is an actual play that goes back to this guy who I cannot name, and Aleister Crowley. As well as Walt Disney himself. Yeah, it's true. Make sure you go research all these people so you can get what I'm talking about. But wait, there's so much more. Everyone who keeps insisting that these are only demonic spirits are about to learn the hard way. I've been trying to warn y'all for some time with hard data that these are literal biological entities created by the fallen angels to inhabit spirits of demons. They're physical and they can touch you. And abductees will be the first one to tell you we even have real footage, intelligence footage of them. And they're literally right under your feet right now. But wait, it gets even crazier. The new president will be bringing back the World's Fair for the 250th year. What's weird about this? Nikola Tesla had the contract for one of these world fairs. He was rated by Trump's uncle John G. Trump. And those world fairs cover up the real history of the world. And also the time machine. Don't close your eyes.
Don't close your eyes. For real. Shout out to Inspired by the King. The World's Fair is coming back for the 250th anniversary. Did I hear that right? Or am I tripping? We know the connection to Tesla. Man, in this lifetime?
This time we did not have a timeline shift. It was something else. Creator's name is Sheldon, and he made this video that's going viral. And he's talking about the Schumann resonance being very unique and odd the day the elections ended. To make a long story short, he's saying that we collectively timeline shifted, and he also uses the term quantum leap or quantum jumping. So I'm going to tell you what happened. It wasn't a timeline shift out, and it also wasn't a quantum leap. Let's get into it. Although it's true that your mind is so powerful, and we unite our powers, we can literally manifest things. That's true. We live in a multiverse. Quantum science, quantum physics, quantum mathematics. Real stuff. So what happens when we are in a multiverse and you hear the term timeline shift? I'm the first one on TikTok years ago that made a video about it. It's really cool to see how many people caught up. The multiverse means that we have an infinite parallel of timelines of Earths. Technically, every time any of us makes one decision, one altering, life-changing decision, another timeline branches off. One with this possibility and one with this other. Think of the movie Sliding Doors. So for there to be a timeline shift, we need natural celestial events. We need something like the HLC Hadron Collider at CERN to be active, breaking through space-time, allowing this highway from one way to another and causing the merge. That is a timeline shift where we have Earth 1 and Earth 2 that merge together. So whoever you are on this plane and whoever you are on this plane, we could even look different and have different personalities. Once the merge occurs, the you from one Earth and from the other Earth, they merge together. Some traits will be dominant. That's why we find some people that before were mean, now are nice. People that used to be nice, now are really mean. It's so weird. That's what's happening. And it wasn't a quantum leap. A quantum leap is an abrupt change, a sudden increase, or a dramatic advance. And the term quantum leap is rarely used in scientific context. But it did originate from the term quantum jumping. You can use the term quantum leap in a sentence of this sort. There has been a quantum leap in the quality of wine production in the UK this year. See, it's nothing scientific. But what's a quantum jump? Quantum jump, instead, the sudden transition of an atom, a molecule, an electron from one energy level to another. What we experienced on the night of November 5th was a quantum jump. It wasn't a timeline shift. We had already done that the day that there was the missed attempt on Trump's life in August. It's not a quantum leap. It was a quantum jump. We went from one state of energy to the other, and it was a transitional time between midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning. And I know because I was awake. I could not sleep. I knew exactly what was happening because I'm an intuitive empath and I can channel energies. I just knew what was going on. We woke up the next day, and the difference between a timeline shift and the quantum jump was that when we have a timeline shift, our physical bodies are exhausted, drained, tired. I mean, it's overwhelming. Migraines, eyesight gets triggered with like all of these crystalline rainbow effects in front of it. It's very different. The jump, we went from one energy level to another. So could we have manifested that collectively? Absolutely. In layman's term, we went from a bad place to a high frequency, high level good place.
Well, that's good to hear. Shout outs to Christina Bruno 1111 explaining the difference between a quantum leap and a quantum jump. I remember that show back in the day.
President-elect Donald J. Trump, congratulations on your win. I'm not a man of formalities. I don't even know them. So, whatever they are. Look, he might see this video, but not if I don't make it. President Trump, you are a man like unto King Cyrus. Now, I am not one to advise kings, but God doesn't care who you are. Only that you should do it the way that he said to do it. And in that there is only success, and outside of that there is only failure. But if I were to give advice to a man like unto King Cyrus, I would tell him to study King Cyrus. He had some failures in his later campaigns that could have been avoided. If I were a man like unto King Cyrus and I was going to pick somebody to analyze this for me, it would be Dr. Jordan Peterson. And I'd let him pick history, all the pieces in this. Those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. It is the default setting in ignorance. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. And now I'll just talk to everybody because this is a TikTok video. Baron von Trump, I know that his middle name is William, is a man like unto King Darius the Great. He is no longer a boy. Already a force in this world. No man is promised tomorrow, so you must trust in God. But opinions on whether this man will be a world leader are null and void. That's already happened. If God grants this man many days, he will be a force to be reckoned with. Darius the Great. And so I'd study up on him also. In any case, to both of you gentlemen and to First Lady Melania as well, God bless you and keep you. I will add to that, God save us. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about Elon Musk. Now everybody likes to guess out loud who this fella is and who this fella is. Mostly done in ignorance of the specifics of what's written down. If you're using the Bible to tell who people are, the specifics are very specific and skipping them is... You're not going to get the right answer, you know? If you leave numbers out of the mathematical equation that need to be in there. Is this man calling fire down from heaven in the sight of men? Well, he's catching rockets out in the ocean. Is that a miracle? Nah, it's engineering. A modern miracle? Perhaps. Modern canceling the word miracle because it's just engineering. But we didn't know it was possible. He did. At least figured it was worth trying. Did he wear Antichrist armor to the thing? Have y'all watched Elon Musk sit and talk at length about anything? Do you know what's coming out of his mouth is important? So, if you do, you'd know that this fella right here would wear Antichrist armor to the thing for a very specific reason. Mainly mockery. Have you heard him talk about Jesus? Now, he doesn't believe in Jesus, don't get me wrong. But Jesus said whoever ain't against us is for us. And he ain't against Jesus. He didn't have anything bad to say about Jesus when asked directly. That's some of those specifics I was telling you about. Do I think Trump is a Christian? Was King Cyrus a Jew? Did Jesus tell us some kind of lie when he said, hey, whoever is not against us is for us? Now, could that change? Sure. Now, some say this is all just smoke and mirrors, and I say, what does that matter? It is God who wrote the script, not men. Even if men write scripts, God wrote that into the script. Some of y'all have never read the never-ending story, or perhaps failed to understand it. Do men manipulate the weather? And yet God is in control, do you see? God knew all the plays that men would write before ever he formed the first one from the dust, in case you did not know. Elon Musk might be close, but he's no cigar. King Cyrus was not an antichrist, not a taker into captivity, a releaser from captivity, not a taker into captivity, a supporter of God's people. Perhaps we should pray to God and appeal to his authority here. Perhaps. Now, despite the fact that everyone loves to keep mentioning brainworms, this man talks the most sense out of just about anybody I've heard open their mouth in our century in regards to our chronic health problems. This man is a champion of the people with a record of being a champion of the people in regards to keeping our environment from being totally poisoned. And I'd love to see what he's going to do now. This man was a darling of the people until he diverted lockstep from the party lines, and I'm glad he did. Now, for everyone excited over the outcome of this election, January 25th is many days away. There are many a slip between a cup and the lip. And now we will read Proverbs 24, for a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth, lest the Lord see it, and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Y'all be careful now. Fret not thyself because of evil men, neither be found thou envious at the wicked. For there shall be no reward to the evil men, and the candle of the wicked shall be put out. Fear the Lord. Walk in his ways, for these are the ways of life. The King of Kings and Lord of Lords, our Savior Jesus Christ, desires mercy and not sacrifice. Grace and mercy even to those deluded by sorceries, and even as far as to our enemies. Brothers and sisters, let us walk the narrow path here, as commanded. To the left is disaster, and to the right is calamity. We can see what just happened over the past 8 years when God delivers it into our hands and we are not found keeping his commands in it. The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. One more and then I'll go, lest I ramble. I do well to put the brethren in remembrance of these things. I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Lord, our Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not. That is to say, faith without works is dead. Believing is doing. Jesus said, he who loves me keeps my commands. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. God is no respecter of persons. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Likewise also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities. Do not be counted in that lot, brethren. Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, did not bring against him a railing accusation, though he could have, but said, The Lord rebuke thee, the Lord rebuke thee. But these speak evil of those things which they know not, but what they know naturally, as brute beasts, in those things they corrupt themselves. Do not be counted in this lot, brethren, who speak evil of those things which they know not. Even Michael the archangel won't accuse the devil. I want to be clear that God is comparing people who call themselves believers, but bring railing accusations against dignities, are like unto the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. And the measure with which you judge others will be measured out to you. And so be careful who your mouth accuses. Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, and perished in the gainsaying of Kor. These are spots in your feast of charity. When they feast with you, feeding themselves without fear, clouds they are without water, carried about of winds, trees whose fruit withereth, without fruit, twice dead, plucked up by the roots. Don't be found with railing accusations coming out of your mouths. In all things in the coming days, weeks, months, and years, guard your hearts and bridle your tongues. Trust in God and follow his ways. God wrote the script. God appoints our leaders. God has commanded us to pray for them. And those of you who will bring railing accusations, do so to your own destruction, if God is to be believed. And he is. None of this is over until Jesus comes back. Settle it in your hearts to follow Jesus Christ for the long haul. You have great need of patience. It is the extra oil for your lamps. And we need the extra oil because it will get very dark. But for those of us in Christ, we'll have a lamp in our hands. And with patience, you'll have enough oil. That is all. I don't expect a phone call or nothing. Woe to me if I don't open my mouth and say all this, though, right? Because if I know these things and don't tell you, what love have I for you? I love you all. God bless you. Elon Musk. Even him. And also, especially him. If you went to a panel discussion at NC State and saw Joe Salenton, and you heard a man in the top back bleachers yell, Soylent Green is people! It's people! That was me. Read all your books. Love you, bud. Please, God, help this man improve our agricultural practices. Y'all might not have known what I was going to say about all this, but this is what I have said.
Soylent Green is people. Shout outs to you. Shout outs to Dead Hidden. Totally agree. Definitely gotta watch what you say. Like 50 Cent said, you shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house.
Y'all gotta see this. Trump will be bringing back free speech to every platform and person, meaning we can go back to the way things used to be and we can actually talk about things. Of course, there's still one or two topics we could never utter a word about, but besides that, be right back.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. The censorship cartel must be dismantled and destroyed, and it must happen immediately. And here's my plan. First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech of American citizens.
This means we can go back to being journalists and talking about real things happening in the world before the news says it. Now, I've seen a lot of biased news reporters telling you what a Trump administration will look like, but let me tell you what it will really look like. I wrote this list the day he got elected, so let's check it out. First, and one of the most important because the children are the future, Trump will be banning dangerous rhetoric from the classroom. Not only that, he'll be providing a $10,000 tax credit for people who are homeschooling. If you don't know, homeschooling's been blowing up the last few years. Next, the administration will be taking blows against the Federal Reserve themselves, reducing taxes and not taking them all the way away. and may possibly take us back to the Abraham Lincoln days. Trump through RFK will literally be making America healthy again, taking out dangerous additives and chemicals out of food, even taking fluoride out of the water. We are one of the most unhealthy countries in the entire world. We have the highest child rate, obesity, not to mention all these other diseases. Trump already said he will not be banning TikTok, and this is crazy because most people against TikTok are actually on the app themselves. And of course, this goes right back to free speech and the free right to journalism and to share stories before the news shares them. You may not know this, but a lot of us creators and journalists have been getting in trouble for sharing stories before the news did. And then days or months when the news finally did share it, they would not go back and let the video back up. Almost 2 years ago now, me and others were consistently beating mainstream media by days or even weeks. The administration will be bringing Jesus back to America and a freedom of religion, which really only applies to Christianity because that's the one religion the world went against, or at least our portion of the world here in the United States. All the endless wars will stop, and we're seeing that before he even gets in. We have Hamas already saying they're ready for a ceasefire, with the Houthis coming out saying that they are ready to stop. We have Trump and Putin working on a demilitarization zone in this place, as well as China saying they are ready for a world of peace. And that will lead people to say, oh, he is the Antichrist because he brings peace. But the Bible says, how beautiful are the feet of those who spread the gospel of peace. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be the children of God. Peace is not a bad thing. And just because someone brings peace does not mean they're the Antichrist. Besides, the eschatology rabbit hole goes way deeper than people even know. To find out about that, look at the mainstream eschatology beliefs for the 1940s. We will have 4 years where we are healthy, where we're not in wars, where our pineal glands can spiritually see and we can actually get to know God before the end does come. Because as it stands now, the barrier between us and God from the bondage of sin and chains is so thick. And you can say he's controlled opposition. I just want to tell you how dangerous dogmatic opinions can be. For the way that we judge, we will be judged. If you can change, anyone else can change. Furthermore, selection and not election is actually politically ignorant because there's 2.5 million independent parties having to do with one election. Yeah, 10 years ago I used to say the same exact thing, but you know better, you do better. Romans 13:1 says God himself ordains every seat of authority, whether good, evil, controlled, or not. There's a massive spiritual change happening on this earth before the end does come.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you haven't already, please take a second
just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right, run these numbers up. Thanks again. Till next time.